And it looks like we are live. Cool. Got the email to confirm. And refresh. Yes, I know I'm live. All right, I think that the analytics just lag a little bit behind, but we'll go ahead and get started. So, welcome everyone. It's a great day with AMC today. So, my name is Malcolm. I'm CEO and founder of Marble Fox Studios, where we enrich digital experiences by helping consumers become better cyber citizens. We do that through micro tutoring services here on YouTube, covering things that save you time and make you money, like spreadsheets, stocks, and code. That's what we handle here. So if you got questions about any of those, feel free to drop them in the chat. If you want to contribute, you can join our Discord, and if you just want to hang out and chat there live with me on the stream, we can do that too. So speaking of which, I will be hopping into the voice channel right now on the Discord. So just a quick disclaimer with what we can expect to see. So today we're going to do some technical analysis on AMC. We're going to watch the after hours price action, and then the plan is to continue building the portfolio manager Powersheet. I'll go into details on what that is if you haven't been watching my streams up to this point. Sometime at the top of the next hour, I do have a quick, like 5 to 10 minute meeting scheduled with my old job, just to help them keep up on what they're doing there. So I will be, I'll still be in the chair. I'll just be putting everything on mute. I'll still leave everything up so you can watch the after hours price action. It'll just be a quick meeting that I need to just hop in and out of, and I'll be right back to here. So yeah, that's the roadmap for today, but it is just a roadmap. That's just like our default destination. But we're all, I always say this, but we're all in the same car. I'm just the one driving, and I've got an idea of where I want to take this. But if you have questions, or if you want to move the content in a different direction, just let me know and we'll go there. So with that said, let's get started with technical analysis on AMC today. I'm going to be moving in and out of really large, really different interval charts. So first thing I'm going to do, so we can watch on the minutia, is I'm going to add a new chart, drag it out here. Let's expand that. Okay. Turn off the indicators. I do want the RSI indicator. It's handy to have. And we will keep this on the 1 minute. Oh, and extended hours. There we go. Okay, and now, yeah, we can watch the minute price action from here while we perform technical analysis on the big part of this. So how I do technical analysis is, for those who are joining for the first time, for a good while, until we get a good following here, I'm going to be doing technical analysis from scratch with a blank chart, so that way you can kind of get a grasp for where to start and what to look for on the charts. I found that that's something that I wish I would have seen a lot more when I first started to get into stocks a few months ago. So that's how I'm going to approach this. I'm going to approach this from zero, blank slate, just so we can all keep learning together. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is zoom out to the 4-hour chart, and why I choose the 4-hour chart is because it's the biggest interval that I can get with that still shows bars inside of the extended hours. Because if you go to the day chart, at least on Webull, you lose all the data for extended hours disappears. It's not enabled. Extended hours quotes are not included in the current interval. So 4 hours gives you the biggest picture here. So what I want to look at is everything that we've traded in today. I want to see if there is and actually this would be a good reason to start on the day chart too. So our entire range for the day, what I look for is I go left and I try to see the first candle that contains the entire day within its range. And on this chart for AMC currently, that is on June 3rd. So that's what we're looking for there. So now if I go to the 4-hour chart, now I can see a very clear pattern here. It's literally connecting the dots. So I go up to drawings here, and to choose different types of drawings, you just pick this drop down. Trend line gives you just a simple one point to another that you can drag around. Horizontal line just gives you a price point, and it highlights what price point it's on the right side on the y-axis, so it's really handy, but you can't tilt that. There is also vertical line if you're looking for a specific date. That'll highlight the date on the x-axis. And then you have extended. Let's see what this does. I don't think oh, gotcha. So extended, you can tilt this in any direction you want. It's the same thing as a trend line, but it extends in both directions. And then the last one, which is honestly my personal favorite, is the ray. So the ray, you pick a starting point. I messed that up. You pick a starting point, and then whatever endpoint you choose, it just continues on in that direction. So you can see there, and this is my favorite one because it's really easy to, what I'm going to draw up is before the 3rd, we have our big, huge run up because the entire day of the 3rd is contained inside of the 2nd, which is when we had our huge run up back then. So I'm going to put a ray here at the top of this run up, and I am going to put it at the very top one of these wicks here. And if I have anything that's crossing over that, I want to move this over until I have no wicks that are crossing this line. Like this is our top boundary here. And I am going to make this really thick because this is like our biggest macro trend that we're seeing right here. So I like to make these lines thicker, so that way when we zoom in on the smaller intervals, we can still easily identify that this is like a big point of either resistance or support. So now I'm going to draw another ray from the bottom of this run up to the lowest point following the same principle. Let me move that over. And since that matches there, and that is how we got our bull pennant. And why it is a bull pennant is because we have a huge run up. Here's your flagpole, and a pennant is just a triangle shaped flag, and that's what this is. It's a triangle. So you got your flagpole and you got your triangle flag or pennant. Bull flags tend to break upward once they're broken out of, and we'll get into why why this was so important for us to look at today, and why we saw so much volatility today as well. So, right, moving on. So that forms up our massive bull pennant, and if we come to the 1 hour chart and zoom here, then we have our extended hours. Everything's spaced out a bit more evenly, and as it stands right now, this bull pennant converges on July 5th. You can see that down at the bottom here. So that's where it would come to a point if we were to keep bouncing back and forth between here, but there is no rule stating that it has to. It's just that it kind of gives me peace of mind that if we do keep coming down from here, that it's within bounds to come completely down to here and then bounce back up. So, but there's no rule stating that it has to follow this. Like, we could easily just get a break out of this and then we're out of it. So, and that's actually what we did today, because if you take today out, this bull pennant looked like this yesterday, and so we tried to break out of it, and right now it looks like we are still trying to do it there. But I like to follow my rule and make sure that I don't have any wicks crossing these rays. All right, let's go back to the day chart to show the new viewers what we're looking at. John David Maddox, great finish, good psychological win. I completely agree. Like, huge day. AMC closed up 10.13% on the day, which is an absolute win. You do not see this with normal stocks, and we could just keep ripping higher tomorrow, especially with quadruple witching happening tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of volatility, and I'm hoping that it pulls us in the upward direction, but that's just a hope. That's not based on anything. Quadruple witching just means there's going to be more volatility. So we can expect that tomorrow. We can expect big price swings up and down in both directions. So coming back to this, they did fight us till the end. Yes. So all of today was traded both in the entire range of the second and the third. So what we're looking at for the third is we're going to draw our Fibonacci. We're going to draw Fibonacci levels off of the third. So let me go to the 1 minute chart, and I need to come here just to make things a bit more accurate. Like to move these right to the point where they need to be on the minute, and I think that usually that messes up. Yeah, so now I have to come back, move that to there, back to the 1 minute. Yep, come on. So not there, not there. There we go. And let's make sure that that didn't mess it up again. It does. I don't know why. I think what I have to do is come back and fix it back here first on the 1 minute. Let's do that. So we are going to scroll all the way back to June 2nd, where we have the top of this. Let's zoom in and move it precisely to the point. And then let's do the same thing for the bottom here. This is the beginning of our bull pennant, bottom side of it. I zoom in just to make sure I have that correct. Accuracy is key. All right, and let's zoom back to, oh, there we go. Make sure that this is accurate. This is the bottom of the bull pennant. And then come to today. Come to today, it's right there. All right, and go back to the second just to make sure again. 4, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Great. So now we are looking at June 3rd, where everything we traded, everywhere we traded today was contained inside of this range right here. So like, I mean, the high was 68.80, low was 37.66. Like all of today was just like inside of this range right here. So what we are going to do is we are going to establish a Fibonacci retracement. We do that by picking the bottom of this run up to the top. Zoom in for accuracy. Zoom in. And 68.80. Okay, that snaps to there. And for retracement, I like to color it green because those are usually levels, these signify levels that the stock will fall back to. And so typically these signify levels of, initially levels of support that can also become resistance, but initially these are Fibonacci levels of support. So I make those green because it's like our defense. And then I'm also going to do a Fibonacci extension. And a Fibonacci extension is the opposite of a retracement, where a Fibonacci retracement tells you where a share price can fall back to after a run up, whereas a Fibonacci extension can tell you what levels of resistance that you can expect to run into on the way back up, at least in the bull case. And so the way you draw a Fibonacci extension is the same thing as a Fibonacci retracement, just with one extra step. You start at the bottom of a run up, you go to the top of a run up, and it doesn't like it. Give me one sec. Okay, let's get all of this in here. Okay, Fibonacci extension, bottom of the run up to the top of the run up. We'll fix the exactness later. And then the last part of it is the last point is the bottom of the run down after the run up. Okay, now let's get these points accurate. That looks good there. And here, 45.59, that matches. And since this will signify levels of resistance, I'm going to color this red. All right. Okay, so now, so what's interesting to see is now that we have these retracement and extension levels up here, if we zoom out to the 30-minute, we can see this over a long trend, longer period of time, just how well since June 3rd that the price has stayed mostly inside of these bounds, especially this channel right here. We dropped down to this channel on the 9th, on the 10th, we dipped right below this, and then we came back up, stayed in between there, and then made our run up, stayed between here. So yeah, you can see that we've been respecting these channels very well. Let's zoom into the 1 minute. Turn auto back on. And something about Webull is when you have really large drawings that extend far back, sometimes they don't show accurately when you switch to a smaller interval. What I found helps with that is if you scroll back to help it load the data on the 1 minute chart, and then if we scroll all the way back to the front, it fixes the trajectory of the lines. Let's go to the 15th, because this is a really good example of the next thing that I want to cover, which is what I like to call Fibonacci vortexes. So typically you don't have Fibonacci extension levels and retracement levels close together, but when you do, when you do have Fibonacci extension and Fibonacci retracement levels really close to each other, they kind of act like magnets that are pushing each other apart, magnets that have the same polarity. And if you put another magnetic object in between those two magnets, one of two things will happen. The magnetic field will either make the object bounce off of it, or it will it'll snap right through it to the other side. And we can see that perfectly here. Especially with the this $61 range, we can see that as we approached it, we bounced off of it, came back down to here to another vortex area where it bounced off of that, and then we tried to break through it, bounced off, but then when we did get above it, it went right through it in a single minute. It just zipped to the other side and then started trading in this channel. We got almost a perfect bounce off of the 64.83. It was just off by 13 cents before we head back down, but as you can see, it repelled the vortex repelled the price away from it. We traded right in the middle, and then there was some indecision here. It was deciding what it wanted to do, and then it decided that it just wanted to go downwards, hit through this vortex, got rejected out of it. So this $61 range, this $55 to $61 range has been very the price. It's been difficult to get the price out of that range. It keeps wanting, we want to get it out of there, but the bears, the hedge funds, they want to keep us below the $61 level, and they know that there's going to be it takes a lot to push us up through that. So we traded in this channel, bounced off of this, kept getting rejected, and then we dipped below it yesterday. And kind of indecision here, then traded back up into here, bounced off of it, came a little bit below it this morning, and then we shot it up. Hedge funds tried to break us back down through here, but you can see that at this level, we bounced off of it a couple of times, came back up through here, had a test, and then we had a rapid 1 minute candle that snapped us to the other side of to the top side of the $56 zone, where we started making our climb. And then once we broke through, we had a false breakout, came back down. You can see that it just does not like to stay in this area for very long. Yep, doesn't like to stay in this area for very long. Came back above. Then we had a slap down. They tried to get us below here. They succeeded for a little bit before it rejected. And then we established our new top side of the bull pennant, and before they flushed us down really quickly. I mean, it's like combined, that's 1 minute right there. And so it came back really through here, and now we're fighting to get back above the $61 level. So that's how I've been looking at this, and why it's been really tricky for us to get out of, in general, the $50 range, because we have three vortexes all within $10 of each other. So so let's look at the technical analysis specifically for today. Because we had a big run up and we had a run down, I'm going to quiet down these colors since they are older. So that way we can kind of see what we're working with. All right. Okay, and let's run some Fibonacci extensions just on today to see where we could possibly see ourselves bouncing between in the after hours. So let's grab a Fibonacci retracement, and I want to go from the bottom of the run-up to the top of the run-up, which would be, I would consider it here, because that was our big run today. Zoom in here. It's $53 even. Nice. To 63.25. Yep, that matches. This is retracement, so I'm coloring it green. And let's do an extension. Bottom of the run-up to the top of the run-up to the bottom of the run down. All right, let's zoom in, get those snapped to accurate price points. Okay. Just need to move this over a tiny bit, and we'll color this one red. All right, and let's take a look at what we are working with here. I'm going to turn off this auto expand and shrink this a little bit. So yeah, we can see that during the midday when we were kind of bouncing back and forth between here, came back up to here, got rejected, down to here. This is a smaller vortex since it was just for the day. And then tried to get a breakout above the 63.25 level a couple times, but false breakout, and we had an overreaction to that. I would definitely say that there were some, that this was definitely short selling here, because there were like, well, specifically, let me turn auto back on. So specifically with this is a 1 minute candle that had 2 million shares in volume. And I think there were almost 4 million shares borrowed today against AMC. So I'm sure that like a good part of their ammo was this right here to prevent us from a run, because we were getting ready to make a huge run right here. And then here they just combined with paper hands and selling. They probably use shorts to get us back down below the $60 range, which they know and the $61 range, this faded out range right here, which they know that if we close above this range, that's going to be very dangerous for them, because it exposes them too much to risk. So that is what we're looking at. So if we zoom out even further, this retracement or this extension right here says that if we continue respecting these levels, we break through, we could probably quickly see a test of 68.32 if there's no other news catalysts or anything like that. So I'm gonna get rid of the extension. I'm going to color this retracement orange, and then I'm going to brighten these back up. All right. Okay. Whew. All right, let's see. Let's zoom out here so we can get a bigger picture of what it's working with. Okay, so that takes care of the AMC technical analysis. If you guys have any other questions about technical analysis, feel free to ask them to me and we'll revisit. Otherwise, we'll just keep an eye on the price action here while we go continue building some power sheets. For good luck though, let me see. Sent out a poll yesterday. What should our luck totem for AMC be for tomorrow's stream? We have a choice of any Lego Star Wars helmet collection. Looks like the vote's Darth Vader. So, Boba's getting retired. And let's grab Darth Vader. Okay. Do your thing. Okay, let's continue building some power sheets. All right, so I've been working on the portfolio manager. If you weren't watching yesterday's stream, the portfolio manager is the purpose of it is to track the value of all investments across different brokers and being able to essentially manage your risk and hedge yourself. And make sure that your investment's protected in a very easy or in a centralized place that's just easy to see and keep track of. Like, hey, what do I want to spend money on? Like, what are the value of my investments? Stuff like that. So we have already built out an intercategory weighted distribution, and that can be seen here. So let's say you have a list of stocks that you want to track and you can assign custom categories to them. This is a unique list of those categories, and you can say like, hey, if I've got like $1,000, I want the next time I make buys, I want to reserve like 30% of that $1,000 towards my tech stocks, 10% towards my pharma stocks, 5% towards energy, 15% for retail, and then 40% for just other stocks. Just kind of like think of it like as a buying power reserve. So that way, if you see a really good opportunity, then you can capitalize on that immediately without having to take out of earmarked funds for other stocks. So we have our buying power here. So the next thing we are working on is and all of this goes towards a cash balance tracker. So for that, we have a place where you can track your transfers into and out of your different brokers, and that gets funneled through a cash calculator to see like, hey, if you have margin enabled on certain accounts, like how much money do you actually have for buying power? And that comes into here, which feeds into this, which feeds into the next thing, which is an intra-category weighted distribution. And what that is so let's say, so tech gets 30% of your gross buying power that you have available, but within the tech category, you want to say like, hey, I want to give Facebook and Google, they get one share, or they get one slice of the pie each. Amazon would get 2 slices of the pie, and Microsoft would get 4 slices of the pie, and then Apple would get 8 slices of the pie. And we have a portfolio calculator that it calculates exactly how much the weight distribution is, and then with the money that's allotted to that category, divides it among the different stocks in there according to their distribution that's been assigned. So that's actually done. So now we have a category balance tracker. Give me one moment. I'm interviewing for jobs. This might be a recruiter. All right, sorry, that was a somebody who's been hounding me on LinkedIn for a while, and finally put that to a close, so I hope they stop messaging me. All right, okay, back to this. So for earmarked funds, what we want to do here is once the funds have been earmarked, we want to take whatever is earmarked and we want to take it out of the gross buying power so we have a net buying power. And the way that we would do that automatically is we would want to add like a trigger for that. So let me move some things around here. Actually, I want to keep that there. Actually, I want to move it over to here because I'm going to put everything inside of like its own column. So gross buying power, net buying power, this goes here, these disappear, and then these come over here. So, great, now I need to fix all the formulas that I just broke, but not a problem. So, categories, port calc, B2 through B18, it is now, the categories is in I2 through I, and instead of just 18, it's just I now. Oh, that was the wrong categories. Port calc. Ah, okay, no, that was right. So B2 through B18, and let's just make that B. Make it future proof. And then we need to fix the port calculator. That's what we need to do. So this is a symbol category weight. That's what we want to copy over from the dashboard. Symbol category weights, that would be H2, or dashboard, H2 through weight through J. That's what that would be. That fixes our port calculator, which fixes our categories. Beautiful. All right. Okay. And now to make it a bit easier to figure out what's a formula and what's not, anything that's a formula or anything that's calculated, I'm going to make it a special color, which I like to use orange for my calculators or calculated functions. The buying power categories. So this entire column would be orange. The entire column is orange except for other. Other is a static value. And the reason why it is a static value here is because this is actually a formula that calculates all the distribution, and it takes what's left over. So thinking about that, what if we over-assigned, something, we can't have a negative distribution. The total of all this can never exceed 100%. So we need to call that out, and we're going to do that with conditional formatting. To add conditional formatting, we go to Format, Conditional Formatting, and the range that we want to apply it to is just F2. We don't want to apply it to any other cells. We want to format the cells. We want to use a custom formula for this because we want to format the cell if the sum of, oh wait, no, it's already calculated, so we can actually just very simply say we want to format this cell if it is less than 0. If it's less than 0, we do want to format it. And we want to format it showing that, like, hey, this is a bad value. It should not be below 0. So we're going to use red for this. So we have a light shading with dark text, both in the red zone. Make it bold. This light red isn't light enough. I don't like it. So I'm going to go to colorhexa.com, plug in the hex code for the color, and then we're going to pick up a lighter shade. That's more like it. Because yeah, a light red should be a pink. That's what we want. Paste that in there so I can save it for future reference. Yeah, there we go. That looks nice. So now if we come here, add a custom color, paste in the new hex code, that looks much more readable. All right, so if the value is less than 0, then it will highlight. Otherwise, let's take this back down to 30%. Otherwise, it just turns into our regular 40% distribution, highlighted orange, to show that, like, hey, this is a formula. Doesn't need to be touched at that point. Any of this can be edited. This is automatically filled out because of the formula, and then this is static, and you can literally name that whatever you want. It's just the static other category. All right. Okay, so now we have our buying power. Gross buying power, distribution, and this would be category buying power. Category buying power. And we have a symbol, category, the weight, buying power. Let's call this category as well. Yeah, so to clean this up, now we'll just keep it for now because I don't want to have duplicate column names anywhere. Symbol, category, and this would be stock category. Yeah, let's do stock category. Now we have just category. And then this would be stock symbol, stock weight. And instead of distribution, let's call this weight as well, or category weight. So we have category weight. And let's just call the stock symbol category name. There we go. Stock category name. And we have stock weight, stock buying power, and then stock earmarked funds. Okay, now we have unique column names. Okay. All right, so now to earmark the funds, hold on, I'm thinking. I'm thinking about whether or not these really should be divvied up into their own tables, so that's what I'm going to do. So rename this to categories. And we'll have another, which is stocks. which is brokers. Because yeah, all of these should be their own tables. So with our brokers, broker margin, and these are going to be data tables. So we're going to color these to our data color, which is purple. Get rid of our extra columns that we don't need, and we'll keep this here. Let's add some alternating colors. And we're going to use that, since it is for data, use our white and use our light gray. Okay, broker margin, beautiful, and then freeze up to the current row, and that's it, because we don't need to freeze the column, just the row. Okay, so we have our brokers. Now we have our categories. Okay, and if and this is all of our category stuff right here. So let's just copy that, or cut it out, and come over to categories, paste it in. Let's reset the formatting, get rid of our extra columns, we'll keep our rows, and here add alternating colors. This is also a data table. Bold it, freeze the current row, and we're done with that. Oh, and then change this color to purple as well. So we have brokers, categories, then orders. Okay, and then stocks is all of this. Cut, paste, get rid of our extra columns, keep our extra rows, format this as a data table. Bold the headers, freeze the header row, and change the color of the sheet itself. Okay, then brokers, transfers, categories, stocks, orders. That's kind of our hierarchy that we're working with there. So I can select everything here. And our dashboard so far now just has our gross buying power and our net buying power. But now I need to go back through here, and since these are data tables now, everything is camel case. Broker margin, shrink those, and then that's all good too. Categories, so we have the category name, category weight, and the category buying power. And because it's in the categories table, we don't need to put in categories at the top here, because that would be redundant. And I spelled weight wrong. Weight. Okay. But now we come to stocks, and this would be symbol, category, category name, or camel case, category name, and then this would be weight, and this would be stock, or not stock, just buying power for the stock, and then we have earmarked funds. Oh, I remembered the way I had it. Instead of earmarked funds, this is going to be to buy. That's what it is, because that's how much we have, that's how much money we have to buy for that stock. Easy. All right. Okay, buying power, port calculator, G2 through G. So now we need to fix the port calculator again. and that's right, instead of dashboard H2 through J, yeah, instead of calculator H2 through J, and actually now that this is its own table, we can actually just put, oh wait, hold on. This is just calculating the buying power for both. Oh, no, that's just importing it from the category, and it's calculating the buying power. Yeah, we can take this, everything we had here, so D through G, and we can put it inside of our stocks table now. Come on, did not work. Look out. Cut, stocks, paste. There we go. Okay, so now I won't need the port calculator anymore. I can delete it. All right, back to the stocks. So the buying power is no longer this column, but it's this column right here. So and then the to buy would come after the buying power. We do the calculations first. So the category buying power comes from categories, and it would now just be A2 through C. Categories A2 through C, yep. Matched with, and instead of port calculator B2, it would just be A2 here. Which A2, oh no, it would be B2. Match B2 to the categories A2 through C, or category name just A2 through A, and we do want to lock the column here, 0. All right, and category and buying power is still not populated because it's not referencing the categories correctly. So the categories to be referenced here would be unique. Instead of port calc B2 through B, it is stocks. Oh. Categories. Okay. It's stocks. Unique, go back to stocks, and it is B2 through B. There we go. So now we have our category name, weight, buying power, all that's populated now. And then, yep, weight, buying power, and then we have category and buying powers. Now, array result was not expanded because of overwrite data in E2. Oh, because this just needs to be categories. Oh, the buying power itself is the last thing, so it would be C2 through C here. There we go. Okay, that works now. And just make sure, let's drag it down. Okay, so we need to add an if error around the entire thing. So if error, do the normal thing if there is no error. If there is an error, just return blank. That's what we want. And now we can drag this down forever to the bottom. Okay, let's format this as, format the entire column as $, currency, category total weight, All right, so the category total weight is the sum if the port calc B2 through instead a port calculator B2. It would just be B2 through B now. B2 through B and port calculator B2, and this would be just C2 through C, suggested autofill, and we are also going to need an if error here. If error, do that, otherwise return blank, and now we can drag this whole thing down too. Why is this 0 instead of blank? Is it because there's no error? Oh, yeah, I guess so what I want to do is say if, I only want to do this if, aha, I got it. So I want to do this here at the top. So instead of an error, I want to do an if A2, if A2 is blank, then return blank. Otherwise, do the calculation. That's what I want. And that should get rid of our zeros, where they're not needed, but we'll still have zeros if it's applicable. Wonderful. Okay. Weight percentage, let's fix this. It should just be weight percentage. It's a very simple calculation. It takes the, yes, it would take the weight divided by the total weight for the category, which is E. Suggested autofill. Oh, shoot. Okay, and yeah, we need to account for errors there. And just so you know, I am going to be in a meeting in just like a minute or so. So I'll be shutting off the camera. I'll leave the screen up with the price action so you can watch, and they should be back in like 5 to 10 minutes once the meeting starts. We'll see how good they are this time about starting on time. So if error, then the value, if there's an error, we want that blank. And now we can drag this down. Wonderful. Okay. And then buying power is literally just just the category buying power times the weight percentage. That's all it is. Let's lock those. And we are going to need to wrap that inside of an error boundary as well. If error, do the normal thing, otherwise return blank. If there is an error, drag this all the way down. Oh, and it calculated a 0, so we need to do the same thing. Instead of an error, we need to do if A2 is equal to blank, then give us blank. Otherwise, then do the calculation. Let's drag it down. That should make our zeros disappear. And there we are. Okay. Now we have the to buy. All right, I'm just kind of waiting for the meeting to start. Got an email I gotta read real quick. Okay, that's something I'll have to deal with later. But we got this. Let me fix the formatting here. Category buying power, category total weight. Let's see, and then weight percentage, and then the buying power. All right. Okay, and this is so those are all manually defined. Formula, and not okay. So everything here is a formula. So we're going to highlight that our light orange color. Actually, I'm not sure. Yeah, no, that's good. And the meeting is starting, so I'll be back in a few minutes. And we are back. All right. Chris Olmeyer, if you're still here, what we thinking will happen tomorrow? Are we seeing the hedging bringing up the price higher? If so, what we thinking? So let's take a look at that. Let me zoom out to the 30-minute here. Let me dim this color. Okay, that gives us a better view of what's going on. So let's take a look. So, because right now we've been trading inside of this massive bull pennant established from our run up on the 3rd, and we're bouncing back and forth between Fibonacci levels established on the 3rd. We had some really strong momentum today, and I would like to say that we'll finally get our last push over the $61 range, and break through this and continue running up. But if we don't get the amount of bullish volume that we need to break above that, I wouldn't be surprised if we were to just get rejected off of this level and just take a breather and start stair-stepping down back towards the bottom of this bull pennant. So I wouldn't be surprised if that would take course over a couple days. But tomorrow is quadruple witching. There's going to be so much volatility tomorrow and so much money moving around that it very well could give us the break that we're looking for to finally break out of this and establish a whole new run up. Or with quadruple witching, if the volume is bearish, then yeah, we could just see our way back down towards the bottom of this bull flag. But I don't think it's anything to worry about. If anything, we just keep consolidating inside of here. I think that's worst case scenario. But yeah, best case scenario is that tomorrow we might, with the amount of volatility we're expecting to see tomorrow with quadruple witching, I also wouldn't be surprised if we tested or established a new all-time high. Give me a moment. All right, I am back, and this time should be for good. Hopefully, no more distractions. So, yeah. So, quick review with where we're at right now. With the amount of volatility we're expecting to see tomorrow from quadruple witching, if we have enough volatility on the bullish side, it could very well be our final test and rip beyond the $61 level that we've been fighting. But if not, it could also mean that we start heading on the way down to the bottom of this massive bull pennant. If it does, I'm not worried, because I think we'll very, very easily either bounce off one of these Fibonacci retracement levels and start heading our way back up to make another retest of where we've been. So hope that so Chris, if you're still here, hope that answers your question. All right, let's turn this back on and back to the sheet. Okay. And come on, let's get a bounce off of 60.83 is what we're looking at. 60.85 was the low on that. Okay, so now that I have, well, let me make sure. Okay, stocks, orders, broker, transfers, brokers, cash calculator. And I think I can merge this into the brokers. Broker is margin enabled. Yeah, I can just add a balance column here. So this will be called balance. And we just get rid of everything here. And then the balance is just this formula. And we just spread it down. And what happens if we keep spreading it? Zeros. We don't want that. We only want to do this entire thing. We'll wrap it inside of another if statement. If A2 is equal to blank, then return blank. Otherwise, do the thing. Error. Oh, it's because I forgot a comma. That's why. Okay, and now I have an extra parenthesis there. There we go, now it's gonna work. So now if I drag this down, bingo, there we go. So now I can drag this formula all the way down. And I can fix the formatting. Beautiful, that's where we're at. Can get rid of the extra rows. I don't think anybody would have more than 5 brokers that they'd be managing between, so I think we're fine deleting the rows there. All right, which means we can get rid of this cash calculator. Okay. All right, well, welcome to the new people viewing. Just in case this is your first time tuning in, here at Marble Fox Studios, we help you become a better cyber citizen by improving your digital experiences, and we do that by doing micro tutoring on subjects that to help you save time and make money, namely stocks, spreadsheets, and coding. So if you got questions about any of those 3 things, feel free to put it in the chat. If you also want to contribute or just hang out and chat with me, I'm a lot more interesting when I have somebody to actually talk with. You can join our Discord. I have a link pinned at the top of the chat, and we can have a conversation there if you want to contribute or just hang out. So, right. So, yeah, and if you have questions about what I'm currently working on, just feel free, use the chat. Like, I'll be responsive as I can be. So, shouldn't have any more distractions today, or this afternoon at least. So, all right, so next thing that we are going to work on here is fix the buying power, because this buying power should not be 0. So D2 times F2 Oh, let's see, let's collapse that. If A2 is equal to blank, return blank. Otherwise, do D2 times F2. Oh, and D2 is blank, that's why. So if error, index the categories. So it looks like there's an error. Index categories C2 through C matched. Because what I want to get from here is categories. Oh, and that's why. Oh, it's because this is no longer on the dashboard. This is now on the brokers. That's why. So this is now brokers A2 and buying power brokers. Oh no, it is still the dashboard. It's on the dashboard. This reference is now broken because cash calc does no longer exists. It is not cash calc. It's now brokers. That fixes that. Let's format that as currency. Brokers, no errors there. Nothing looking off there. There we go. Buying power's back. So, I'm thinking. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to add essentially a button that a user can click to essentially lock in this buying power to the to buy column. So how we are going to do that is we are going to open up tools and open a script editor. All right, and this new project is called the Portfolio Manager. Rename. All right, and instead of code, this is going to be set to buy. Yep, singular, to buy. And that's going to be the same name of this function, set to buy. And actually, before we start working on that, I want to create a new script file for event handlers. And we want to run this function whenever the spreadsheet is opened. And onOpen takes in an event, which is signified by the letter E. And when we open things up, we want to grab the spreadsheet. So this would be cons for a constant variable is, and this would be Portfolio Manager. Portfolio Manager equals spreadsheet app dot get active spreadsheet. And now we can do the Portfolio Manager get UI. I can't remember off the top of my head, so we will go look at the documentation. And it's okay to not have everything memorized. So Google Apps Script. Essentially what I'm looking up is I don't remember how to do what I'm trying to do. So I'm just looking up the instruction manual for coding inside of Google Sheets. So that's what this is. And that would be found in the reference manual. And Google Workspace Services, which is what Spreadsheets is, and Google Sheets, Spreadsheet. Let's see, enumerations, I think it might be in script services, maybe. I like to explore things just to see if I can remember where to find stuff. So spreadsheet app. Methods, get UI, that's what I want. Okay. So it's not the get active spreadsheet, it's just get UI. right there. Okay, and this would be the UI. And then I would want to do UI dot, what can I do with a UI object? UI, I can create a menu. So I create a menu, and the caption, the string, the label for the menu, this would be, let's call it power-ups. That'd be the name of our menu. And when we create the menu, we want to add an item and then add it to the UI. So add item, add to UI. That takes care of that. And the item that we are adding, the label for the item is going to be lock buys. Or, yeah, lock in buys. And let's just say set to buy. And this runs the function set to buy. And now I need to set up a trigger for this. Add a trigger. I want to run on open whenever the spreadsheet is opened. Loading data, this may take a few moments. It's going to ask me for permission to do something, I'm pretty sure. Yep. Choose an account to do this. And it wants just authorizing code to run, to do stuff automatically for me. That's all it's doing. So now we have the trigger created, so let's exit out of all of that. And now if we open the portfolio manager, watch the top here in the tool ribbon, we'll see our power-ups menu come up. There it is, power-ups. And then there's our set to buy. So that's how we can add custom buttons and custom menu options. So let's open our code back up. I did that by going to Tools, Script Editor. All right. Okay, set to buy. So what I want to do when I set to buys is, this would be on the stocks sheet. So the first thing I need to grab is the whole spreadsheet itself, and that would be the entire portfolio manager. So the entire portfolio manager is the spreadsheet app get active spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is the entire thing, and a sheet is just a tab. And now the tab that I want to get is the stocks. So this would be spreadsheet app, not spreadsheet app. This would be the portfolio manager, get sheet by name, and the name of the sheet is stocks. And that code will get me this, will get me everything in this tab right here. Not the values, but it'll allow me to access everything that's inside this tab. So the next thing I want to do is I want to grab the buying power. And to do this, we are going to create a function that is just going to, we're going to create a function where it's just like, hey, here's the name of the column that I want to get. So I want to get, so if I tell this function like, hey, get me, like the column name is buying power, then the function will return all the values, or it'll return the range of buying power. So that's what we are going to do next. And I'm going to add that to a utilities file. So utils, it's good enough. And this would be get get column by name, because that's what it does. It gets the column by the name, by its name, which means that to get the column by the name, it would need a sheet to work with. So it's going to grab a sheet. And then with this sheet, oh, and it also needs the column name that we're giving it. Okay, so get column by name. So this would be sheet.getRange is the function that we're looking for. And getRange accepts 4 arguments. I can't remember what they are. That's okay. We can go look at the reference manual. So reference, Google Workspace Services, spreadsheet, and to follow the entire chain, the spreadsheet app is like the main object for the spreadsheet itself. And so let's follow this chain down. So if we scroll down to methods, it would be get active spreadsheet gets us the spreadsheet, and then spreadsheet get sheet by name. Get sheet by name gets us the sheet, and now to get a column on the sheet or the tab, that would be get range. Get range. Okay, and so get range takes in a row, column, number of rows, and number of columns. Okay, and so what the row and column are is just like, where do you want to start getting the data? And I think it's one based. Row, integer, the starting row index of the range. Row indexing starts with 1. So if we come to here, if I want to, if what I want to get, it starts with this cell right here, the row would be, this is row 1 and then row 2. So I want to start with row 2. So that's what I'm going to put in there. And then the column is the column that I want to start with. Okay. But we don't know, but we can't pass in. So what we need to do first is actually get the column headers. We need to get all the column headers and figure out where they are, what column number that the column names are in. So that's the first thing we're going to do. So we're going to declare a new variable called column headers, and then this would be equal to the sheet get range, and then we have row, column, number of rows, and then number of columns. So if we're getting just the column headers, the row we want to start with this cell. We want to get, this is the range that we want to get, the entire first row. So the row that we start with is row 1. And then the column that we start with also is column 1. So that becomes 1. The number of rows that we want to get is we just want to get 1 row. So this also becomes 1. And then the number of columns that we want to get is all of them. We want to get all the columns. And so there's a way to find this out, is the number of columns is equal to sheet, and if we come to here, there is a method. This is the table of contents here. There is get max row or get max columns. getMaxColumns returns the current number of columns in the sheet regardless of the content that's inside of them. That's exactly what we want. We just want to get the total number of columns that are on the sheet, and it returns a number. So getMaxColumns, and we invoke it using empty curly braces to show that, like, hey, actually go get the number. And then number of columns is saved here and used here. All right. Oh. Okay, so now that we have our column headers, that just gets us our range. So if we have getRange, it returns a range. What can we do with a range? We want to get the values inside of that range. There it is, get values. So get values returns a rectangular grid of values for this range. So it returns a two-dimensional array of values. So for column headers, what we actually want is get values, invoke that, and then this returns an object that will look like this, where this represents the row, and then, so this initial set of braces or brackets represents a collection of rows, and then there's another set of brackets in here that represents each row. And then inside of here, you would have like column 1, column 2, and just the names of those columns. So that's what it looks like. And so I just want to access 0 right there. And now we have a column name that's being passed in. So let's say, let me actually show you what this is going to look like. So this is what the column headers variable is going to look like specifically for this sheet. It would look different for other sheets if you pass in a different sheet to get. But for this sheet, this is what column headers would look like. Now, well, column headers 0, because we take this, it's a 0-based index. So this is what column headers, the index of 0, looks like. It's just a single array with a list of the names. So what I want to do is I want to get the position, the column number that buying power is in. So if the column name is buying power, I want to get I want the number to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the number that I want it to have. So that's the desired result. And the desired result would be called the column index. And to get the column index, I would go through the column headers, and I would want to find the index of each column header. And for each column header, test to see if the column header is equal to the column name. So let's say the column name is equal to buying power. So if the column name is equal to the buying power, what find index does is it will go through column headers, which is this is column headers, and it's going to say, is this equal, is the column header, because each one of these is a column header, and it's going to test it to see if the column header is equal to the column name, which is this, buying power, right there. So symbol is not equal to buying power. Category name is not equal. Neither is weight, neither is this, neither is this, neither is this, but this is the exact same thing as this. So it found a match, and when it finds a match, this specific built-in JavaScript method will return the zero-based position or index of where it is found inside of this collection or array. And it's a zero-based index. So what we would want to do is, so this would act in actuality, the column index would be, this would be symbol is 0, category name is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It starts with 0, and so this is becomes 6, and because it's 0-based, but we need this to be a 1-based index, we just take the result of this and add 1, plus 1, and that will get us the column index that we need. So now that we have that, we have the column index. Now we can actually go and get the column. So this would be the column itself. And we would go to the same sheet and get a new range. And here we have row, column, number of rows to get, and the number of columns to get. All right. So the row that we want to start with, if we come back to here, we want to start with row 2 because we don't want to include the column header itself. So we start with row 2. And then the column that we start with is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's the column index that we use to get the buying power. That becomes column index. The number of rows to get is I just want to get all the rows that are available. That's what I want. And so because these are formulas, I want to leave these blank rows here. And so there's two different ways that you can get the number of rows inside of a range. I'll show you where to find that documentation in here. Raven, a little bit too technical for me, but thank you for your work. You are very welcome. All right. So with the class range, thinking here. Yes, because we want to get the number of rows inside of the table. And so there is get num rows. That returns the number of rows in this range. In the range itself. Oh, I need to go up one level to the sheet because we're doing sheet get range. Okay. So there's get last row, and then there's get max rows. So get max rows, it returns the current number of rows in the sheet regardless of content. And so if I were to call get max rows would return 1,000 on this sheet. That's the number it would return. Then we have get last row. Get last row returns the position of the last row that does have content. And so the last row that has content is 18. So that's what it would get. So the number of rows is equal to the sheet get last row. But we do need to account for the column header because we don't want to include the column header in this. So we're going to subtract 1 to subtract the column header. Number of rows is now used here. And then the number of columns is still the same here. The number of columns we want to get, we just want to get one column because that's the objective of this sheet is to get a single column. So that's the number of columns we're going to get. And this returns range, and we need to make sure we return it. So we just say return column once it's gotten. All right. Ooh. Okay, so now that we have get column by name, we can use this inside of set to buy. and this would be the buying power column. So buying power is equal to get column by name, sheet, column name. The sheet that we pass in is equal to stocks. That's this right there. And then the column name we want to get is buying power. Okay. So now that we have the buying power, we want to, I'll show you what this looks like. We want to get the values out of the buying power. Okay. And this is technically the buying power column. So what we do is the actual buying power, the values. So the buying power values is equal to the buying power column, get values, and it returns all the values inside of that range, which is a rectangular grid. And so this is the collection of rows, and then this is what each row looks like on the spreadsheet. As you can see here, each one of these numbers is on its own row. But each row is inside of its own collection. And then, oh, come on. Nope. There we go. And then all these would have commas. And then these dollar signs wouldn't be there, because the dollar sign is just a formatting thing. So these would be this is what buying power values would look like. But we want to reduce this so that we take each one of these outside of its own brackets and put it inside of one collection of brackets. And the way we do that is through a map. And so we can just map directly from the get values, and we map through each row. And what we want to return is we want to return row and the 0th element of the row, because everything in code is 0 based. It's not, you don't start counting from 1, you start counting from 0. So if you were to count how many things are inside this collection, this would be 0, this would be 0, this would be 0, this would be 0. And so this takes all these numbers out of their individual collections and puts it inside of a single collection. So instead of looking like this now, that's not going to work. Give me one sec. So now it's going to look like this. A nice collection inside of one set of brackets. That's what buying power values, after mapping through them, that's what it looks like. All right. So you have the buying power values, and actually, I'm thinking we don't want to do that. We actually just want to keep the values. And you'll see why in a bit. Oh, no, yeah, I take that back. This needs to be row 0. Okay, so we have buying power values. So now we have the buying power, and we want to set that in the to buys. But here's the thing. What if there's already an existing value inside to buy? Like we have 5, 10, 4, just going to start putting random numbers here. So if there's already a number here, what we want to do is we want to take whatever's inside the buying power and add it to whatever is existing inside of the columns, which means that now we need to get this column and its values. But we can do the same thing as we did here. To get the buying power column, we can just copy this and change this. Instead of the buying power column, we can change this to the to buy column. Get column by name. The sheet is still stocks. The only thing that changes is the column name, which is to buy. So now we can reuse the same code that we built here to do two different things. Well, it does the same thing, but in two different situations. All right, so we have buying power values, and now we want to do the same thing that we did to the buying power values, except with the to buy values. And there we go. So now we want to do math on stuff. Oh boy. Okay, so what we want to do now is for each to buy value, we'll go through the buying power values. So I think we could do this in a for each. So buying power values for each buying power value, or for each buying power, we want to, we actually want to do a map. So we are going to create a new collection called updated to buys. Or updated to buy values. And we would map through each buying power value. And we also need the index, which we can get by wrapping that and putting an I for the index. And then we can return the buying power itself plus the to buy values of whatever is in the same index, or in other words, the same row. That actually might be easier to read if I set it that way. So instead of buying power I, buying power row. Okay. So we have our updated to buy values. And what we want to do is how we unpackaged, so with these values, we unpackaged them because they were in boxes inside of, each individual value was inside of its own box that was inside of a one big box. Now, what we want to do is this map will give us our one big box, but now we want to take the combined value of those and put each of those back inside of their own box. And the way to do that is just put this entire thing inside of its own box. That should get us what we want. And now we want to update the values of the to buy column. So we've already found the to buy column, and now we want to set the values. We were getting the values here, to buy column get values, and now we're doing to buy column set values. We're going to set the values to the updated buy values. That's what it's going to do. And I think that's it. So I'm going to save that. We're going to come here, Portfolio Manager, Power Ups, Set to Buy, and I need to change this to currency. It'll be funner to watch that way. All right, now watch with awe as it automatically adds these numbers to these ones. So the numbers in this column should get bigger. Set to buy, here we go. And it worked. If I remember right, this used to be 232 plus 60 and 65 cents plus 4 is just 236.65. So pretty sure that worked. All right. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, so now what we need to do is whatever's inside of this to buy column, we want to take it out of the gross buying power. And we want to set it to the net buying power. So the net buying power is equal to this minus the sum of everything minus the sum of everything in the to buy column, which is stocks H2 through H. Okay, because let's check the math here. So if we have 1551, if we come to the stocks, and if you select all the numbers in a range, the sheets will tell you what the sum of it is down here in the right hand corner. So that's 930.60. 930.60. Okay, and if we subtract one from the other, I'll move this down here. Okay, so if we take this cell minus this cell, gets us 620.4, which is what that is. So our math works. All right. So that's our net buying power. Oh, how did I do this on... It's been a long time, so I'm going to pull up and we're going to cheat a little bit. Let me go to Drive on my personal. Let me go to is it my finance sheet? Deprecated. Fund budget. Equity to buy, bought. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking through my personal version of this that I built like months ago. Oh, okay. So the gross buying power, net buying power, stocks, and then the buying power. So really this, no, it can't come from the net buying power. I think how I did it is buying power was just a virtual column that only lived inside of the code. I think that's how I did it. Right. Oh, no. Okay, okay. Okay, so, gotcha. Yeah, so yeah, we do have gross buying power, we have net buying power, and then we need like a different type of buying power now. It's like something in between here and there to buying power to distribute. Something like that. Because working from this from the top as if I was doing it from scratch, if this was like a new portfolio, I'd want to take the gross buying power and set that, because the buying power to distribute needs to be a static value. It can't be it can't be a formula. So if I have 1551 as the buying power to distribute, okay, so I think I've got things switched around. So this gross buying power that I have here, that's calculated by summing up all of the transfers. It looks like the transfers, or it sums up all the brokers and the broker sums up the transfers. I think that is actually supposed to be our virtual field. And then we just update the net buying power, and then our gross buying power is actually what we technically have to spend, but our net buying power is like that minus what's earmarked. Yeah, so I've got this all backwards. Gross buying power. Yeah, which means that this would also, yeah, I have to get rid of this. I have to get rid of that because all the buying power calculations have to be virtual. They can only live in the moment that we're making the calculations. They can't persist after the fact. So if I'm going to start over here, I would have gross buying power and then the net buying power. And the gross buying power that I have the gross buying power that I have would be the calculation of all the transfers. How did I do this before? Because yeah, I like gross and net. I've got like gross buying power, buying power to distribute. Gears are really turning in my head right now. I need a drink of water. That's what I need. I need a sip. So yeah, let's come up here. So my gross buying power to 0, my reserve, and my net buying power. The net buying power was a formula, the reserve and these. Okay. Net buying power added the sum of whatever I had to buy. Took the sum and T2 plus U2. Okay. Okay, I think I remember how I did this. So gross buying power was always, I defined it as not the transfers, but essentially it's like new money to like money that hasn't been earmarked and it hasn't been spent yet. So that would be the gross buying power, and that would need to be like manually. So this would actually be like total cash balance. That's what this would be. And then our gross buying power would be that manually entered for now. And then we would have our reserve. And I actually need to switch these around. So this would be our net buying power. And then this would be our gross buying power. Okay. I think we're cooking now. So I guess the first thing I need to figure out is I do want to have the net buying power automatically update for me. So what I want to do is whenever I change the amount of something in the transfers, I want to automatically update the net buying power. But I also need to have a trigger that says we're ready, ready to modify. So let me add that. Amount is settled. Ready to modify. Ready to deposit, or ready to distribute, or available. I'll call that is available, or make available. And make available is going to be a very, very simple false true. And it's just going to be a trigger. So insert, changes the check boxes, and you'll see where I'm going with this. So if I were to add to one at the bottom, If we were to add a new date. Okay. Okay, yeah. So let's go to, and let's make a new script. And this one would be, the purpose of this script is to add to net buying power. Add to net buying power. And we want to trigger this function whenever a specific type of edit is made to the transfers sheet. So I'm going to go to my event handlers. I'm going to declare a new function, call it onEdit, which takes in an event, and onEdit, event handling. I think that's in the guides. Triggers and events. Simple events. On open, on install, on edit. On edit. Trigger runs automatically when a user changes the value of any cell in a spreadsheet. Most onEdit triggers use the information in the event object to respond appropriately. For example, the onEdit function below sets a comment on the cell that records the last time it was edited. So onEdit eRange. So the range that was edited is equal to eRange. And if we go to range now, reference, workspace services, spreadsheet, range. And it gives us a range. I want to find the sheet that the range belongs to. So that's a getter. So it's probably get sheet. There it is, get sheet. Returns the sheet the range belongs to. So this would actually be the sheet, and eRange.getSheet. And then once we have the sheet, I want to get the name of the sheet. So that's another getter. Get name, returns the name of the sheet right there. So I can just call this sheet name, get sheet, get name. So what's really cool about JavaScript is you can chain all these functions together. Okay, and now that we have the sheet name, if the sheet name is equal to transactions, the sheet name is equal, okay, give me 1 second. So one of the people working in my basement, they found a wild rabbit inside my window well, so I'm gonna go get it. Yeah, I'm gonna go get it. I love rabbits. It might take me a while, so I'm actually just gonna end the stream here because I need to go take care of it and need to make sure that it's okay. So this will probably just end the stream for the day. So thank you so much for sticking with me. Wish you best of luck with everything, and we'll see you next time.